Salam Sejahtera and good day to Dr. Farisa and our fellow classmates. Today, we are going to present our group project entitled HR Analytics on Employees' Performance for the course WQD 7004 Programming for Data Science. This presentation is prepared by me, Regine Lim, and my groupmate, Ahmad Anik. I hope you enjoy our presentation. Now, let's take a look on our introduction. I believe we can deny the fact that employees are an important asset to the company, especially for those high-performing companies. The employees help the companies in making profits. Every year, star employees will be promoted to a higher position. For a company with smaller size, this process may be easier, but how about a company with a bigger size, with a size of employees such as thousands and 10,000s? This is the reason why we do our project. We determine two problem statements from the project. First, manually deciding on which employee should be promoted is time-consuming for the management. And secondly, management who sends the employee promotion list may forget to include some of the details, such as age, in the email to HR. Now, the question will be, how to determine which employees are suitable to be considered for promotion, and what are the ages of employees who were promoted. The objective of this project is to build a classification model to predict which employee would be promoted and to build a regression model to predict the age of the employees who are getting promoted. Now, let's take a look on the data acquisition and exploration part. The data set is obtained from Kaggle, and the provider of this data is Mr. Shivan Kumar. There are some functions that are being applied to this data set, such as glimpse, structure, summary, and scheme. For the function scheme, it has some extra details such as the percentile and the histogram of this data set. We also explore the unique values for all columns and determine the mode for all the columns. After exploring the data, we now go into the next step, which is data cleaning and pre-processing. We determine the missing values present in this data set by creating a functions to check on the missing values and also the blank values. And we found that there are two columns with missing values and blank values, which are previous year rating and education. For previous year rating, we found that there is a pattern that for those employees who are newly entered to the company, there will be no previous rating. So we decided to replace all the null values with 0. As for education, there's no certain patterns on those who have these missing values, so we decided to draw all the rows with missing values in education. After all this have done, we check again for any missing values and found there's no more missing value left. Other than checking for missing values, we also check if there is any duplicate value present. Then we correct all the data types. And lastly, we rename the columns. Now let's take a look to the exploratory data analysis. To determine the correlations between the numeric variables, we have created correlogram, heat map, and also upper matrix. In this slide, an example of correlogram is being shown. From this correlogram, we know that the correlations between the length of service and age is the strongest. As for is promoted, the top 3 variables in terms of strength of correlations are KPIs met at 80%, awards won, and also average training score. We also show the percentage of employee promotion in the form of pie charts, and from this we can know that only 8.7% of the employees are being promoted. Stack bar charts are being plotted for bivariate analysis. This is to determine the relationship of each promoted with other variables such as gender, department, awards won, and also KPI met at 80%. By using stack bar charts, the numbers of employees who are or are not being promoted can be shown and compared clearly. This is the end of my presentation. I would like to pass my time to Anik to continue with the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Raji. And hello, Dr. Fariza. I'm Anika, and allow me to begin presenting on the univariate analysis for EDA. Focusing on the age of employees, number of trainings, and length of service, the graphs are skewed to the left, meaning companies have more younger employees but still lack of exposure to the company. Therefore, they dedicate their time more to building the business rather than attending the training. Also, focusing on the previous year rating, majority received a rating of 3 out of 5, which are considered average performers. This scenario makes the variable to not be significant in determining employees' promotion. For this section, by comparing the length of service with age group, we can see that the older age groups have longer length of service in company, which also explains the high correlation between the two variables. The next segment will be data modeling. Beginning with classification, we decided to choose 3 numerical variables, namely KPIs met 80%, awards won, and average training score, due to the highest correlation among other independent variables with our target variable employee promotion status. We also remove variables contributing to multi-collinearity between the independent variables such as the previous year rating. However, we decided to choose all categorical variables for consideration except the employee ID, as we saw significance in them. And lastly, we converted our target variable to factor for prediction purposes. Next, we decided to split our data into train and test set in a ratio of 70-30. Both are shown on the top left. In terms of algorithm, we decided to go with the naive-Bayes and decision tree. For naive-Bayes, the package CLAR was used, and for decision tree, the package ARPAT was used. Here, we decided to display the confusion matrix as a 4-fold plot diagram. Comparing the two diagrams, decision tree predicted more numbers of class 0 and 1 accurately. It is also shown in a higher accuracy score of 0.9345. Hence, this model is chosen. Moving on to regression, we filtered only for employees who are promoted. Then, for numerical variables, we only considered the length of service, which is significant and has higher correlation with the target variable age. And lastly, all categorical variables are encoded using one hot encoding to ensure the data fits the regression line better. Similarly, data is splitted in a 70-30 ratio. We considered 2 algorithms, which are the linear regression and the k nearest neighbor as the nonlinear regression. For k and n, we use k equals to 2 to 5 and based on the rule of thumb that the value is based on the square root of the total observations in a row, which is 52k. We then use 2 metrics to evaluate the efficiency of algorithm, which are the R squared and the root mean square error, in short RMSE. Based on the data, K and N perform better, whereby 98.61% of the data fit the model and it has a lower margin of error for predicted values versus the actual values, with the RMSE of 1.2743. Hence, this model is chosen. Next, taking the analysis to the next level, why linear regression should also not be considered. So, in spite of the model being statistically significant, the residual of data set is heteroscedastic based on the residual versus fitted graph on the left. Also, from the QQ plot on the right, data points have more extreme values since linear regression is supposed to be assumed as a normally distributed curve. Lastly, linear regression usually has not much flexibility to fit the curves in the data. In a nutshell, decision tree is the best model for classification to predict the number of employees considered for promotion, while linear regression is the best model for regression to predict the age of employees who were promoted. Lastly, for future work, researchers can consider exploring deep learning methods such as the neural network, hybrid algorithms based on the best feature of algorithm, or feature selection such as the stepwise regression. With all this, HR process improves, employees are happy, and companies will be profitable. Once again, my name is Anikal, signing off.